afternoon, everyone. Today we'll be discussing about the 2025 compilation of the science and technology portion, and we'll move forward in the following order. First, we'll discuss about the space technology, then biotechnology, then defense technology, and then some miscellaneous information. Beginning with space technology, we have NISAR satellite. It was launched on 30th July 2025 from Sriharikota, and it was launched through a GSLV F-16 launch vehicle. It was a milestone collaboration between ISRO and NASA, and it utilizes a synthetic aperture radar. This synthetic aperture radar combines L-band and S-band. These two bands are specifically used for high-resolution day-night all-weather images, and they are essential for biomass estimation and crustal deformation. Apart from this, this also uses a 12-meter unfoldable antenna, which is a mesh antenna basically, and it was a technological marvel because it was the largest ever deployed by ISRO in a GSLV launch. And then it was also important for high frequency mapping of Earth for every 12 days. And then the mission goal was to better understand earthquake, volcanic eruptions, oil spills, floods, wildfires, and landslides. Through the Gaganyaan mission, India will become the fourth nation after Russia, US, and China to independently send humans to the space. Now, this follow three variants: the Gaganyaan 1, G2, and G3. Gaganyaan 1 is the first uncrewed test mission, which will carry Vyomitra. She is a female humanoid robot, and her function will be to mimic human functions, operate switches, and monitors cabin parameter like CO2 level, pressure, and radiation to see exactly what a human would experience. Then the G2, G3, these are also planned before the crewed test mission. The crewed test mission is targeted for the year 2027, and that will be H1. And the launch vehicle used for Gaganyaan would be launch vehicle Mark 3. The first two stages will be liquid propulsion, and these are the solid strap-on motors, and then the last stage will be cryogenic stage. Aditya L1 mission. This was launched on 3rd September 2023, and Aditya L1 is India's first space-based observatory about the Sun. This is placed in a hollow orbit around the Lagrange point. Now, Lagrange point is a stable point between Earth and Sun, under which the gravitation pull stables out. Now, this is essential for 24/7 monitoring of the Sun and studying the coronal mass injections and solar flares, which affect the satellites and various GPS positioning systems in the universe or orbits. It also uses different kind of instruments. For example, it uses Belkin suit for remote sensing. Through remote sensing, it captures high quality pictures and videos. And in the in situ sensing, it uses instruments like ASPX and PAPA to taste the solar wind and the particles which fly past the Aditya L1. Moving towards the exam 4 mission, this was a historic milestone for India because after 41 years, an Indian astronaut was returning to space, Subhanshu Shukla, and exam 4 mission was carried out through the carried in the International Space Station. The crew spent 18 days there. It was basically to study the material science. The 60 plus scientific studies had to be conducted about the biology, the microalgae survival, the drug stability, etc. These were the objectives of the mission, and Subhanshu Shukla was serving as the mission pilot, and Peggy Whitson was the mission commander. The launch vehicle were Falcon 9 and SpaceX Dragon, and it was a commercial private partnership between ISRO, SpaceX, and Exam Space. And for 2020, as of 2026, Shubhanshu Shukla is the first astronaut to receive Ashok Chakra for space exploration. Next, we have the Navik. Navik is a regional system covering India and 1500 kilometers around. It uses standard positioning service, which is for everyone, common people for navigation, and it uses restricted service, which is for military purpose. Then it has indigenously made rubidium atomic clocks, which are for precision timekeeping and telecommunication. Then it uses the L1 band, which is for civilian wearable devices like smartwatches, to provide the same services, which is navigation and positioning. Next, we have the lunar module launch vehicle. It is a highly ambitious project of ISRO. It is a super heavy lift rocket which is capable to carry 27 tons to the moon and 80 tons to the low Earth orbit. And the first two stages of the LMLV are also liquid propulsion, and the third stage is cryogenic. And it has officially replaced the next generation launch vehicle, and it is the key enabler for Indian Space Station or the Bharatiya Antariksh Station and future lunar ambitions. And last, for the space technology, we have Project Netra. Project Netra is an indigenous mission of India which allows India to track objects as small as 10 centimeter, primarily in the low Earth orbit, up to 2000 kilometer. Next, we have ISRO Debris-Free Space Mission, which targets 2030 as the deadline for achieving non-zero debris space. And then the 5-year rule, which is a recently adopted international guideline for deorbiting of satellites when the mission life ends. So this was all for space technology. Now we move to the next segment, which is biotechnology. And the first topic we have is stem cells. Stem cells are the cells which are defined by their self-renewal and potency capabilities. And recently, the Supreme Court has prohibited its use for the unapproved stem cell cure for autism. Autism is a neurodevelopmental condition which affects the overall cognitive capacity of an individual. So Supreme Court imposed this ban on the ground that it will be unethical to use because it can be used for malpractice. And otherwise, stem cell therapy is approved for treating other cancers like leukemia, lymphoma, myeloma, blood disorders like aplastic anemia, sickle cell, and immune disorders. Antimicrobial resistance. Antimicrobial resistance occurs when microorganisms like bacteria, virus, fungi, parasites, they change over time and they do not react to medicines any longer. And microbes develop defense mechanisms, for example, efflux pumps. This is used to pump the drug out. Then they use enzymatic degradation to destroy the drug, and target modification, which is changing their own structure so that the drug cannot stick to them. The WHO, through its One Health approach, has recently highlighted the use of growth promoters in the livestock industry as the primary cause for this, which is the major driver of antimicrobial resistance. So this can also be referred to as a silent pandemic. Next, we have the GLOCAS9 protein. The scientist at the Bose Institute of Kolkata has recently developed the GLOCAS9 protein. This protein allows for thera tracking. Thera tracking means the scientist can track the gene editing activity inside the living cells in real time via bioluminescence. Bioluminescence is a property. It occurs when an enzyme named luciferin reacts with oxygen, and in the form of energy, it emits light. The FDC drug bans. The Central Drug Standard Control Organization has recently put a ban on 35 fixed dose combination drug. Now, what is a fixed dose combination drug? It is a cocktail of 2 or 3 active pharmaceutical ingredients which are combined together to form a single dosage. What is the rationale behind doing this? It reduces the pill burden to improve the patient compliance. So this ban was imposed on the grounds of safety issue because they were receiving illegal state level licensing, which is not allowed under the new drug and clinical trial rules of 2019. Such new drugs require the central approval and not the state approval. And last, we have the Phenom India National Bank. Dr. Jitendra Singh, he is a Minister of State, independent charge, and also a physician under the Modi government. He has recently launched the National Biobank Population Study at the CSIR Institute of Genomics, which is in New Delhi. And it is India's first large-scale longitudinal health database. Longitudinal health database means the health of one individual will be tracked for a long period of time. So the core goal behind doing this is to replace the Western specific models with the Indian specific ones to track diseases like cardiometabolic diseases like liver fibrosis, diabetes, which are endemic to India basically. And it will lay the foundation for precision medicine in India. The Integrative Biology in New Delhi is the host institute, and PICHEC is the parent project for this longitudinal study. Now we come to the defense technology. The Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft. It is India's first fifth generation stealth aircraft. The stealth technology is used for avoiding detection by radars. This is designed in a way that it cannot be detected by radars and infrared and audio sensors. Before this we had Tejas, but it was a 4.5 generation aircraft and it was light combat aircraft. This is much heavier and it can do precision serpentine airstrikes. Next, we have Project Kusha. This is again ISRO's highly ambitious project. This is a long-range air defense system which is designed to rival the S-400 Triumph of the Russia, and it has used indigenously gallium nitride radars. These are important because they generate less heat and they have more range, which makes them suitable to operate in high temperatures like Thar Desert of Rajasthan. The Gaurav glide bombs. Gaurav glide bombs are DRDO's made 1000 kg class bomb. Once released from the fighter jet, they can unfold their wings and they can glide towards the target using INS plus GPS navigation system. And they can travel up to a distance of 100 kilometer, which makes them safer, which makes it safer for the pilot because he can release it from a standoff distance, staying out of the enemy's defense air range. The GSAT-7R satellite. It is a second generation satellite specifically designed for Indian Navy for military communication. And the first original version, which was GSAT-7 Rukmini, it has replaced that, and now the R word stands for replacement. The other two versions, which is GSAT-7B, is used for Indian Army and GSAT-7C is used for Air Force. For enhanced bandwidth, it uses different bands like UHF, SC, and KU band. And the most important part is it is fixed at a specific point above the Indian Ocean region to 24/7 monitor the Gulf of Aden up to Strait of Malacca. This is about the ballistic missile defense system. We know the ballistic missiles follow a parabolic high trajectory. They can carry heavy payloads and they support the MIRV technology, which is multiple independently target re-entry vehicles. So under the ballistic missile defense system, we have two phases. The phase one, which is operational, it can intercept missiles up to 2000 kilometer of range. The stage two, which is the testing stage, this can intercept missiles up to 5000 kilometer range and also combat the exoatmospheric threats. So the AD1 is for the longer range and AD2 is for the higher speed. Also in December 2025, a new announcement was made about the Capital Dome project. This is to basically protect the VVIP zones of Delhi. So this uses technology like QRSAM and NASAMS. Now these are the landmark achievements of India in different sectors. First, we have the Vikram 32. It is a 32-bit microprocessor developed by Center of Development of Advanced Computing. It was first presented at Semicon India Conference of 2023. And SCL Mohali around Chandigarh is the only facility which is capable of this space-grade fabrication. It is a radiation-hardened microprocessor, which means it is highly reliable in despite high energy. And its first successful flight trial was through the OM4 mission. It was also a PSLV launch. Now this Vikram processor is not meant for consumer devices. It is only for the defense and aerospace applications. So it is also important for India's future ambitions, which is Gaganyaan and Chandrayaan 4 mission. Lithium-ion battery plant. In September 2025, the state-of-the-art lithium-ion battery plant was inaugurated at Sohna plant, Haryana. The Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav inaugurated the facility. It is a private investment by the Japanese firm TDK Corporation. Now, it is expected that it will design 20 crore annual battery packs annually, and it is expected to meet 40% of India's annual demand by producing mobile and wearable battery packs. And last, we have the UVIN platform. So India has one of the largest global health program, which is Universal Immunization Program. And UVIN platform is one such initiative under that Universal Immunization Program. It is designed similar to the CoWIN platform during the COVID pandemic. So it is a digital registry where anytime, anywhere vaccination services are provided for the basic 12 routine diseases like common cold, cough, which are the normal routine diseases. And it is also a digital registry for all the pregnant women and children. And it automatically generates the Ayushman Bharat health card after the first immunization of a newborn. Then it also sends automated alerts for the future upcoming dosages. So the basic pros of this is that it eliminates the paperwork and it ensures inclusion of every section of society. This is all for our presentation, and just a short quiz, which is one word questions. NISAR is a joint mission of ISRO and which space agency? ISRO and NASA. What is the name of the Gaganyaan humanoid robot? Aditya spacecraft is parked in which orbit? ISRO's debris-free space mission target year. Vikram 32 only facility in India. Who received the Ashok Chakra for space exploration? Gaurav glide bombs developed by which organization? And Supreme Court banned the stem cell therapy for the treatment of autism.
Very nice. So, second questions. Now, can you explain the importance of push-up?
Project Kusha. Sir, it is a long-range defense system. So, if we compare it to the other technology which the US has, which the Israel has, and which is Russia has, so it is better for India to be in a competent position, and which the India's aim of being the second largest defense exporter. So this is a marvel and a landmark achievement for India to have such long-range air defense system.
And what about this ballistic system, missile system?
Difference दोनों.
Yes. To kindly correlate with this ballistic missile system and Operation Kusha. Project Kusha इन दोनों का क्या correlation है?
Can I take a
One
moment?
is ballistic missile, with ballistic missiles. Another is Operation Kusha. So why we are developing this Kusha, Project Kusha? Why we are developing this? See, you see, Operation Kusha is our defense mechanism and defense system, correct? Now, how they define ballistic missiles?
Ballistic missile is basically used to intercept a specific target like precision striking, and it is a missile technology. But Project Kusha is for
Yes. Full. Yes. Now, see, and second, you said that the Supreme Court's ban is
stem cell.
stem cells. Right? Can you hear it? Stem cell technology.
So stem cells are defined by their self-renewal capacity, which means they can regenerate themselves and divide into multiple cells. So it is very important for regenerative medicine and transplantation. But Supreme Court stance is that for the autism, it is not scientifically verified, and it can create false hope and expectations for the parents that it will cure the particular disease, and then it is also has possible side effects because it is not tested on autism before, so it will like a laboratory experiment for the patient of autism.
What are the implications? Why Supreme Court is concerned?
Because the patient can be used for experiment and malpractice. There is no proven evidence that it will perfectly cure the autism disease, so that is why.
Yes. Exactly. Advanced medium of data, we are using great system for this process of this level.
I have no idea. मैंने पढ़ा है.
Okay. You want to ask?
Why does the India need NAVIC if already GPS exists?
Why did India need NAVIC?
If already GPS exists.
Dependence is the most evil thing, and in the changing geopolitical situation, when US is already imposing sanctions in different way, it is playing trade war, it is doing numerous other things. So depending on a technology which is basically US made would be hazardous for India, and it is always better to have independence in strategic defense sector, and NAVIC is strategically important for India because Indian Ocean region is of high importance in maritime security and foreign policy of India. So for the monitoring of Indian Ocean region, it was high time that we had our own regional system, which is NAVIC.
What is the difference between Tejas and AMCA?
Tejas was a light combat aircraft. It was basically of 4.5th generation, but yeah, advanced medium combat aircraft. This was the first fifth generation aircraft, so it provides longer range and better interception. So that is why. And uses stealth technology, which Tejas did not have.
Yes, can you give some light on Bharatiya Antariksh missions?
Sir, like the International Space Station for the space exploration, we have our own Bharatiya Antariksh Station, and for that we had this lunar module launch vehicle which would carry different payloads and for the development of the Bharatiya Antariksh Space Station. So this was for space exploration only, India's own.
What about international space stations?
International Space Station is a collaboration of various countries, and the exam 4 mission was also an example of this because it is important for conducting various scientific studies in the space sector.
Which are the countries collaborating in the space?
France, US, and Russia. I'm missing the third one.
But it's good. All the channel. Tell me anything about us.
Aditya L1 was the first indigenous mission for studying the solar flares and coronal mass injections. Now, if I explain what is solar flare and coronal mass injection, solar flares are electromagnetic radiations which reach Earth in 8 minutes, and coronal mass injection is a heavy cloud like nebula. It includes the magnetic particles, it has dust and various other things. So it requires at least 2 to 3 days to reach Earth, and both have their different impacts on the satellites, on the GPS system. So that is why it was necessary to study their impact on the uh, things they deployed in the space. So that is it.
Very nice. Any questions? Yes.
NISAR, as we studied, it was important for volcanic studies, earthquake study, disaster, flood management.
Now, can you say that our entire science and technology development program is related with our geopolitics.
To a certain extent, yes.
Can you elaborate?
For the maritime security and in context of space exploration and defense also.
This entire